When we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers!
Pizza.
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port and of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 40p. No tethering. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Episode 966 of No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. Did you notice the music at the beginning is different? And you'll notice the music at the end is different. It's still metal music, but I ran into a problem, frankly. And I thought I downloaded rights-free music. It was challenged for video. I don't want to get into problems, so I'm just changing the music. It's similar but different, and I hope you like it. Now, with that said, today's show is about evaluating the hiring manager during your interview. And it's an important subject because you're going to have to live with she or he in the future, and I want you to be at least comfortable with your choice. Hope you find the show helpful. I'm not going to be doing a show tomorrow for Christmas. I'm taking a day off from doing shows, and I hope you enjoy this one. And if you celebrate, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And now, let's get going. This is the beginning, I believe, of my 5th year of doing this show. And you can listen to my development over the years on Blog Talk Radio. I'm still cleaning up some of the old shows and titling them at the recommendation of the network, who seems to like the show a lot. So, pay some time at Blog Talk Radio. Subscribe on iTunes. Listen to the shows through iTunes or the other sites I mentioned earlier. And I thought today we would do a show about evaluating the hiring manager. And, when all is said and done, there's going to be a point where you're going to be asked to make a decision about a firm. And ultimately, yes, money is going to be a factor in that decision, and the work is going to be a factor in that decision. But won't your hiring manager be a factor too? Aren't there things that you could ask he or she about how they do things and what their background is that would be helpful to understanding them and whether or not you can be successful working for them and working for the firm? Of course there are. So I thought I would cover some of the things that you might look into while you're interviewing with an employer. And again, don't ask these of HR. They're irrelevant to the equation. No disrespect to HR. Ultimately, you're going to be living and working with the hiring manager, not human resources. So it's their behavior rather than the company line that's most important here. So, and when they ask you about whether you have questions, I always recommend that you ask them. So let's say I join and it's a year from now. I haven't just done a good job. I've done a spectacular job. What would I have accomplished within that year that would cause you to write a review describing me as, if not the best, one of the best people you've ever worked with? So what that does is give you an idea of whether or not their expectations are reasonable or unreasonable. Wouldn't you want to know going in that their expectations of you are unreasonable? Of course. But too often people don't ask questions that allow them to deduce that. Instead, they are kind of obedient. They ask about the job. They explore that, but nothing really related to the manager. So ask that question that basically says, so let's say I join and it's a year from now and I haven't just done a good job. I've done a spectacular job, amongst the best that you've ever seen someone do, if not the best. What would I have accomplished during that year that would cause you to write one of those reviews? Okay, got that? Now, let's continue on. You also want to find a hiring manager that will support your career development, will support your personal and professional growth, right? After all, if you think of doing this job for the next 5 to 10 years, ooh, doesn't that get scary? same thing day in and day out for 5 years. Ooh, painful. So you might just simply say, I'm looking at this as part of my career. And maybe I could just ask you, who on your team has been promoted and what did they do to earn that promotion? What that does is make them go, huh. And if they have to think a lot about it, there's a message in that. If they go right to the answer, there's a message in that too. So, again, you want to know how your hiring manager, your future manager, views promotions. Now, they may leap and say, look, there are no guarantees. She was with us for 3 years before this happened. It's not going to happen for you overnight if we hire you, but this is what happened for her or for him. So, ask a question that finds out about how someone's been promoted within the group in the past. Now, you also want to ask a question about how they respond to suggestions. Now, I worked at a recruiting firm where management knew nothing and took no suggestions. It's bizarre. So, I pause and I always recommend to people, when you hire someone, are people expected or encouraged to suggest new ideas or recommendations or just basically take direction? Now, whatever they answer is fine. But, when all is said and done, I think most people want to be in an organization where not all their ideas are going to be taken, of course, but they can be heard. They can be respected. They can be evaluated for things like that. So, ask about how your ideas would be received and whether there's an expectation of you making recommendations or suggestions and proposing ideas or not. So that's another question you might pose. Another one relates to the work-life balance within the job. Now, I know a lot of people who work in careers where there's the expectation that they work 80 hours a week. God bless them. That's terrific. It's not like I have such a light schedule either. But, if you say, we want you there from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m., and, we'll have lunch catered at your desk. If that's what you want to do, great. But you might want to just simply ask, is the expectation of this job that someone work long hours, or is there on-call work? Is this basically 9 to 5, 8 to 6? What's the typical work environment like? Just investigate what the expectations are, with regard to the hours put in. Now, one question is, are you a manager who does things seriously, or do you like to joke, have some fun? Do you enjoy humor in the workplace? And there's no real good question for that other than just put it on the table and simply say, what's the work environment like? Do people seem to enjoy one another? Is that something that you foster as part of building teamwork, or is that something that's considered taboo here? Whatever it is, you need to know that as part of your decisioning. You might want to find out what a typical day would be like for you. Have them say, what time would I get in the morning? What would I do first thing? What do I get involved with in the course of the day? Is it project work, ad hoc work? When would you see me finishing up at the end of the day? Just give me a feel for what a typical day would be like in the course of working for you. What that does is just describe what you'd be doing. And thus, you can say as a follow-up, is that what my colleagues would be doing, or is that what they would be doing is something a little different? And if different, how so? Just ask a question about typical hours. And then you might just follow up with one more question about, I've worked for managers before and organizations before where they're, obvious rules and then unsaid rules. If there are unsaid rules that are part of your expectations, could you give me an idea of what they are, what your expectations would be of me, how you might want me to conduct myself in the course of the workday? Do people tend to socialize? Is there an expectation of people socializing? Like, what are the rules here? When people go out, where do they tend to go to? If you're someone for whom alcohol is an inappropriate behavior, either because you've had a history of addictions or for religious reasons, I think it's useful for you to know that, because sometimes in organizations where there's the people go out for drinks and there's the fooling around after work kind of stuff. I don't mean sex or anything like that, but people have a good time with one another. Being an outsider to those behaviors might be problematic for your career advancement. So these are some of the questions I would encourage you to explore in the course of your interview. Pick and choose the ones that make sense for you. If your instincts suggest certain questions and not others, that's okay. But I think leaving something unsaid and uninvestigated, like what the expectations your boss might have, your manager might have of you in terms of hours and what a typical workday is like, would be a huge mistake for you. So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here's a few ways to engage with me. First of all, I just want to say that I no longer do recruiting. I coach people to perform at a high level. So again, I no longer do recruiting. But if you visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, look at the tabs on the top and you'll see a menu of choices for you. First of all, you can hire me to do a resume and or LinkedIn profile critique, interview preparation, helping you with a salary negotiation, answering your question, advising you about a decision you have to make about job offers. That's all there is an option. I can do a job search makeover with you where we critique everything you've been doing in your search up until that point and come up with alternatives. If you're relatively early in your search, we can do a complete coaching program where I work with you from beginning to end. It's in half-hour increments, so it doesn't take a lot of time in each session, and that's another way you can do it. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Mention that you listen to the show, because I love hearing with folks who like the show and are interested in my help. Lastly, I also want to mention I've got a lot of information at thebiggamehunter.us, and at times it seems like it's too much. So you can look at the best of my material at JobSearchCoachingHQ.com, where I have curated information that you can watch, listen to, or read that'll help you find work more quickly. Again, that's JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, hope you have a great day. Take care.
When we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers.
Pizza.
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port and of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 480p. No tethering. See store for details and terms and conditions.
When we go out to eat, we never agree on where to go.
I want burgers.
Pizza.
Tacos it is.
The one thing we do agree on is we all want unlimited high-speed data. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 lines with unlimited LTE data for just $100, period. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Offers require port and of number not currently active on T-Mobile network. During congestion, the fraction of customers using more than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video streams at up to 480p. No tethering. See store for details and terms and conditions.